Welcome to this Edureka session for top 50 Hadoop interview questions. In today's session, we are going to walk through across few interview questions to give you an idea how basically interview questions come up when you go for any company. These questions will be not only for freshers, but as well as for few experienced people. Little about my experience on this interview process. I interview more than 4-5 candidates on daily basis in this domain, and I hope my experience will kind of help you in getting a good idea on how the interviews are being conducted. Basically, what's an expectation from an interviewer point of view when he asks any questions, and how you can please your interviewer. One very important factor for this. Now, let's not make it this a one-way session where I talk and you just listen to the answers. It's not going to help. How about give you a real-time experience of just how the interviews is. Maybe you can treat me like I'm interviewing you from Edureka end, and when I will post any question, when I will shoot any question for you, you can just come up with the answers. You can raise your hand, or you can just let me know in chat, I want to answer this. I will unmute you. You can discuss. Anybody, it's not like one person have answers so others cannot answer. You can also come up and answer, or may want to add any new points which you want to mention. So basically the main idea here is, if you know Hadoop, it will be more useful. If not, then also it is going to useful be in the sense that you can just collect all the questions, and maybe when you're walking through that module, you can just get a good idea how things would be, right? So even if I can see few people are saying that they have just started this course, that's completely fine, but definitely you will make best out of this course if you have completed this, okay? Because you will make best of this session in that case. But it's completely fine. Just listen to everything. So let's move further. So starting with few basic stuff, like when this Hadoop started, right? So it's not a very old technology. It's pretty new, and basically in last 5 years, you are seeing a tremendous growth happening in this area. I can tell you, whenever I teach in my batches, I clearly mention that this, you are all sitting on a time bomb because you're learning at the very right time. And the main reason why I tell it, you all are sitting at the time bomb, because if you have noticed, especially if you are working, let's say in the DB company or so, I think many people can relate with me what I'm just going to say. You might be seeing your directors, senior directors, and must be thinking, you know, these guys were lucky. They started their career when this DB kind of area was booming up, and now they are sitting at the director or VP position, and I'm still sitting at the software developer or maybe as just a senior software developer position, right? So this is a very common trend I have seen that people think. Like I'm pretty sure you, a lot of you can relate to this thing, right? But at the same, you are also sitting exactly at the same position right now. The big data domain is booming up. In last few years, it have grown up, but in coming few years, we will notice that it is going to be a big hit. This job market, right? If you notice from 2012 to 2017, where we are today, if you notice the percentage of increase in jobs. Now, what we have done is, when we talk about Hadoop, right? Hadoop is a very wide term. It includes not only just Hadoop, okay? Hadoop includes Hadoop developer, Hadoop includes Hadoop administrator, Hadoop includes Hadoop architect. So if we notice the percentage of basically jobs which have increased in from 2012 to 2017, I'm just taking the time frame of, let's say, 4-5 years. You can notice for Hadoop developer, it has grown for more than around 247%, right? Hadoop administrator, 245%, and definitely 297% is the highest for Hadoop architect. And the reason is very obvious, because recently Apache Spark has picked up in the market like anything. It is the next hot cake going on in the market, and that's the reason a lot of companies are migrating towards Apache Spark, right? So this is definitely one of the things which is happening. Moving further, can I exclude MapReduce from a resume because I'm not good at core Java right now? Will there be a requirement that does not need MapReduce? Okay, yes, there can be requirement. For example, we are going to walk through Hive, Pig. Okay, so these are the topics which we are going to talk. There are explicitly jobs in these two domains as well. So if you're not very much comfortable with MapReduce programming, you can be good even with the other areas, right? So you can just in that case make yourself, probably you can make yourself expert. You can kind of concentrate more over Hive optic side, and you will be good with it. There is no trouble in getting job if let's say you do not know much of the Java content. Now, what are the topics we are going to cover? We are going to cover following topics: Big Data Hadoop, HDFS, MapReduce, Apache Hive, Apache Pig, HBase, and Sqoop. You can see so many topics, right? So it's going to be a very detailed discussion, right? So it's going to be like we are going almost touching all the important domain apart from Apache Spark. Okay, Apache Spark is a separate domain in itself. That's the reason we have not included it, but you can expect maybe some separate session for that as well. To start with interview, now when we talk about big data, right, the very basic questions a lot of time pops up. What are 5 V's available in big data? Can anybody answer that? Okay, so Ravi want to answer this. Okay, let me unmute Ravi. Ravi, over to you.
First is volume. Volume is size of data, how much it is growing day by day. And next is variety. Variety is, we have 3 types of data actually: structured, unstructured, and semi-structured data. Structured data is nothing but relational database, all those things. Unstructured data is audio, images, files, all this data. Semi-structured is XML files. Velocity is how much fast is growing.
Okay, very much good answer. When big data started, IBM gave a definition with just 3 V's. The 3 V's were volume, variety, velocity. So what was in volume? Volume was when we talk about like in terms of amount of data what we are dealing with, right? For example, today's Facebook is dealing with very huge amount of data, right? When we talk about variety, now is it only Facebook which is generating data? No, right? Even Twitter is generating data. Okay, we are talking about just social media sites. No, we can we talk about medical domains? Yes, in medical domains also the data is getting generated, right? A lot of big data is getting generated. So that's a different variety of data. We have structured data, unstructured data, like we can have videos, audio, right? This is basically going to be called as a variety part. Third component is velocity. Like I said to you, Facebook is just a 10 to 12-year-old company. And imagine the growth they have made it in just 10 to 12 years. Imagine each user is also doing this activity, posting video, audio, all kind of chats, right? So with that, how much data they are dealing with. So that is, you will be calling that velocity. With the pace they have grown up from scratch to this level, with the speed they have grown up to this level is called velocity. Now, these were the 3 components which were actually going in the market for long. Actually, if you ask me, these 3 were the major components even go today. But slowly they started realizing there should be a 4th category of data, which is veracity, which also makes sense in big data, because what basically happens is that the data what we receive to us, right? The problem with that data is we cannot expect that the data is going to be always a clean data. There can be a missing data, there can be a corrupted data in middle. How to deal with this scenario? How to deal basically with those scenarios, because that is a component of now that big data, right? So basically that corrupted or the bad data what we are getting, how to or missing data what we are getting. So those category also they decided to call it as veracity. Now people started calling that, okay, these 4 are the major components, but we are not yet done. Now they started adding few more components. They started saying that no, we are not going to stop with 4. When you are saying that veracity can be added, why not value? Because the data what I am getting, I want to know what is the value of data, how much important that data is. Now somebody said that I want to visualize the data. So visualization should also be one of the V factors. Somebody started saying that I want to see the vocabulary of the data or the validity of the data. Now they started keep on adding their V's. But majorly if you talk about, there are 4 V's which carries a good value. Okay. And usually in any interview, they will not expect you to know all the V's basically. If you know it all good, but they will be just expecting you to kind of understand that, okay, do you know at least 4 V's which are important? If you can answer that, they will be all good with it. Okay. So sometimes to make it tricky, they ask you 5 V's to just see that how good you are in terms of thinking. Like I generally do that. So when I generally ask questions, I generally see that, okay, that guy must be doing 4Bs. Let me ask 5Bs. Let me see that is he able to think a little beyond what he knows already. Moving further. We just talked about something called structured and unstructured data, right? Can anybody explain me the difference between them? What basically are these structured data and unstructured data? Let me add one more component to it, semi-structured data. That third category of data, let me add it. Now, can anybody explain this? Plus, give me the difference between them as well. Can anybody give me an answer? So unstructured, not easy to save the data into RDBMS. That's the question's answer from Navish. Okay. Structured data is basically in row and column format, easy to read and pass from Word. Okay. Narasimha is saying structured data, RDBMS data. Unstructured is like log, audio, video. Semi-structured is like XML, JSON. Yes. So a lot of people are giving the right answer here. If we talk about basically structured data, if you go with basically 1980s and all, when this Oracle and IBM and all those companies came up into the market. So if we talk about 1970s, 1980, even at that time they used to have data, but that data was not huge. It was small data. But you will be surprised to hear at that moment it was still a challenge to deal with that data. Though it was having some sort of pattern, it used to have some sort of pattern, and it's a small data. Now people used to think that how to use it, how to manage it, how to store it, where to store it. All those questions were coming in people's mind, and that is where companies like Oracle, IBM and all came up into market with their RDBMS solution. Now they started delivering this solution that you can now store the data, you can now process that data, what sounding like having some pattern, and you will be all good. And today I need not tell you that today where these companies are, like Oracle, Microsoft and all. In fact, everybody of you must be willing to work for them if given a chance, right? So they are basically now the market giant, and they have given the solution for that. It was going all good, but now slowly what happens? The other kind of data started coming. So the data what they were dealing with was structured kind of data. But with today's world, right? Like Facebook came up in few years back, right? Now as soon as Facebook came up into market, I'm just giving an example. Now what you do on Facebook? On Facebook you either upload video, upload audio, pictures, right? So you started dealing with this kind of data. Now, do you think these kind of data can be dealt with my RDBMS system? Answer is no, right? Because now we cannot deal with these kind of data. Now, we cannot call this data as structured data because this kind of data do not even have any sort of pattern. And that is where we started calling it as unstructured data. Means any sort of data which do not have pattern kind of thing, like your audios, videos, we started calling it as unstructured data. Now the third category of data is semi-structured data, right? So there are some sort of files. For example, let's talk about XML data. So as soon as you see XML, what is it sounding like? Does it have pattern or not? Does it have pattern or not? XML files. Can I get an answer? XML files, JSON files, do they have pattern? Yes, yes, it has pattern. So as soon as they say that it has pattern, our first answer which must be coming in your mind should be that, okay, it is a structured data. But now as soon as you tell me that it's a structured data, my question for you is, in that case, can you do all the activities what you can do in RDBMS to XML data? I know you can do today, even you can deal with unstructured data as well because they have introduced glob and clob data types as well. But is that efficient? Can you fire triggers on that? Can you do all the things which you can do with your traditional data? No, right? Now it started sounding to me that it's a unstructured data. Now I am confused whether it's a structured data or an unstructured data. That's where they created a third category called as semi-structured, so that they can keep it in the middle. The data which is sounding something of the structured type or as an unstructured type, they created a new category called as semi-structured data. Everybody clear on this part? What basically is structured data, semi-structured data, unstructured data? Okay, moving further. Now I have another question for you. How Hadoop differs from your traditional processing system using RDBMS? Can I get an answer? What would you answer this part? So these are like warm-up kind of questions. Right? Usually in interview, they will not start with the most complicated questions with you, right? So these are they kind of warm up. They want to see your level of expertise, how much you know. So basically, that is what is happening here. So can you answer this part? How Hadoop differs from traditional processing system using RDBMS? And friends, I have a request. Rather than raising your hand, please type it on chat window, because this chat window I want to make it more interactive. Okay. Okay. I don't know why your name is showing up Jo Chala, but let's take it. Processing is done where the data is done. No input output. Okay. Hadoop can store and process any type of data, where RDBMS can store only relational data. Okay. I can take this answer, comment. Distributed storage and processing. Okay, good answer. But parallel processing, large data, distributed. So few people are just started answering what is Hadoop, right? Don't answer me that. I want difference. Like, read the question properly. The question states, give me the difference. Do not tell me what this do and that do. Tell me the clear-cut difference. What are the differences? What you notice with RDBMS system? Or I can ask you another way as well. Can Hadoop replace RDBMS system in future? Or maybe is it really replacing right now? Okay, this question can be asked in this way as well. Now can you answer me this part? So I hope anybody who know Hadoop basics should be able to answer this easily. Can I get some answers now? Who want to come on air also can tell me, I can unmute you. If anybody want to come on air and answer. Both are complementary to each other. Okay, good. Anyone who want to come on here, want to answer it? This will give you good confidence also when you will be speaking in interview. It cannot replace RDBMS, but I want reason they do. That's everybody know. It cannot replace RDBMS, but what's the reason? Very good, very good. Asset property is not supported, or in other words, can I say CRUD operation is not supported? Create, delete, update. Can I do that at pro level? No. Right? So that's the major reason you cannot go with Hadoop systems. Like, you cannot replace them. Also, when the data is small, okay, if the data is small and it's a structured data, which is going to be more efficient, RDBMS or Hadoop systems? Yeah, that's basically in the latest version they are supporting it, but there are a lot of restrictions in it. That's all about Hadoop 3.x, Shri, which is yet to come in the market properly. So hold on till the time it come up, because it has a lot of restrictions. It have right now a lot of restrictions. If you have already seen it, you might be aware of this part. Hadoop is used when we are more of write once, read multiple times. Very good. It follows WORM principle, WORM, which means write once, read multiple times. Okay. So, and one more important difference. RDBMS is free of cost. Is RDBMS free of cost? No, right? So basically, it's a licensed software. You need to pay for it, right? But when it comes to Hadoop, it's completely open source. There are companies who are now basically making money with this as well. This because it's an open source community, right? Hadoop is an open source community. Now, if you get stuck, where you will get the support? There is nowhere you can get the support. If you get stuck in RDBMS system, there are companies to support you. But what about Hadoop system? If you get, let's say, some bug, who will fix it for you? Right? It's an open source. So basically anybody can come and fix it, but let's say if nobody is fixing your bug, then what, right? So in that case, what people are doing is they are taking support. Okay. So a lot of companies are providing support also on this. So a lot of companies are providing support in terms of now they are making money from it. They say that, okay, if you want to use Hadoop, use it. We will give you the appropriate support, what is required, and you have to pay the money for it. So a lot of companies actually came up like this kind of idea that they are expert in Hadoop, and if you require any support, we will help you with that. So that is one thing which is happening. Now, RDBMS can only deal with structured data, right? Basically, when we talk about RDBMS, we cannot deal with unstructured kind of data. Though you can right now deal with it as well, because like somebody just argued with me, he said that, you know, in the latest version of Hive, they're trying to support even CRUD operation, right? But it has a lot of restriction. It's not efficient at of the moment. Till the time it do not come out of the beta phase, we cannot say anything about that. Similarly, RDBMS also started creating CLOB and blob data type, CLOB and BLOB, right? Where what they say that you can now store unstructured data and can work on it, but are they efficient? Answer is no, right? So similarly, like most of the data what you deal with RDBMS is going to be structured data. But when it comes to your Hadoop system, it can be unstructured, semi-structured, as well as structured data, right? Because if we take an example of Hive and all, they deal with structured data, right? So that is one thing which is there. RDBMS, you work just on a single machine, right? So let's say you work on a single laptop where you have RDBMS installed and working. But when it comes to Hadoop, you are working in a distributed fashion, right? There will be multiple machines which can be involved in this case, right? And as I said, in RDBMS, mostly when the data is small, your speed will be very fast. Your computation is going to be very quick. At the same time, with Hadoop, your computation speed is not going to be that great. Okay, with the small data, it's not going to be that great. With Apache Spark pitching into the market, that's a different story. Now they are actually picking up basically because if your memory is good, then you can actually make up a good speed. But with traditional Hadoop, when we talk about MapReduce, the speed are slower. I believe if you have already done the classes of MapReduce, you might have already noticed this thing, right? When you were doing that word count example, right? I hope everybody must have done word count example in MapReduce, right? If you have taken the session, right? So in that case, you might have seen the speed of word count example that it is not that fast. So that is one thing with Hadoop system. If especially the data is smaller, your speed is not comparatively with RDBMS, it's going to be slower. Now, which brings me to another question. Can anybody tell me the components of Hadoop and their services? In fact, I'm showing you all the components. Can you explain these components? What are the components available of Hadoop and what are the services what they provide? Can I get an answer? Very good. So basically when we talk about HDFS, right, it is for your storage side. Okay, very good. Can I get more answers? I believe everybody must be knowing this part. Narsim is saying storage, HDFS is for storage, Yarn is for processing cluster. Very good. So you can say Yarn is a cluster resource manager, right? There are a few more things. Can I get more answers? NameNode manages the cluster, Datanode stores the data. Okay, I can take this answer, but partially they would. NameNode manages the cluster. Can you be a little more explicit in this part? Yarn for resource allocation, very good. And be saying Yarn to run MapReduce, okay. You can say to schedule MapReduce. That would be better, anyone, right? Rather than saying to run MapReduce, can I say schedule MapReduce? Right? That would be a more appropriate answer here. But a good attempt. NameNode has metadata. Very good. Right? NameNode has metadata. You can take it of something of this sort. So in your real-term scenario, right? Let me go back. You can simply relate it with this your real-time life also, right? Let's say in real-time scenario, what happens? Let's say you have a boss. Okay? How many people have kind of a smiling boss, good boss? Smiling boss, but a cunning boss, very cunning. He plays with your emotions. When I say emotions, I basically mean that basically he kind of is a very clever boss. Anybody who have it? Okay, Shri have it. Ariban have it. Naresh boss is very innocent. Okay, so let's say this boss. Okay, let me draw a smiling boss. Okay, the smiling boss. Now, usually every boss is smiling, right? They just keep on smiling. But the point to note here is the smile is cunning smile or what kind of smile? Now, what next? Now, these are people who are working, right? Like Shri said, he reports to such kind of boss, right? So basically, Vivek said he's report to such kind of boss. who is a very clever boss, right? Now let's say Narasim is saying that, okay, fine, his boss is also kind of a very innocent boss, but behind that innocence, there might be a lot of cleverness, I think, right, behind the scenes. So let's say these three people are reporting to this clever boss. What happens? Boss get projects, right? Boss get project. So let's give the project. Now what happens? Boss will be getting a project. These three people are reporting to this boss, right? So what they will do? So boss usually will distribute the project, right? So let's say the project was P. He distributed into three parts: P1, P2, and the third component he made it P3. What he is going to do? So he is going to keep this P1. He's gonna come to Shri and say that work on P1 project. He will come to Vivek and say that work on P2 project. He will come to Narasim and say that work on P3 project, right? He will say that. Now, all the three people are working properly, given the project on timeline, boss is going to be happy. Now, imagine a scenario that Vivek ditch his boss. Not basically ditch, but maybe he said that, okay, fine, my boss was innocent, so let me take an advantage of him, telling him that, I have a family emergency, I can't work, I have to take leave, something of family emergency kind of thing. Now boss is in trouble, right? Because boss need to work on these two projects now, right? P1 and P3, who will deliver P2 project? So that is the problem. So boss, what they do? They come up basically with an earlier kind of backups. And boss is clever, remember, right? So boss is going to call Shri in his cabin and say to Shri, you are doing very, very good job, right? So you are doing very good job. I'm thinking to promote you. If you keep on working like that, you will get promoted very quickly in the market for sure. And so you should take up some senior responsibilities from now, right? So as soon as she will not hear anything. She will just hear that, boss is telling me promotion word. Okay, he will just hear promotion word and he will be very happy in his mindset. Suddenly his boss will throw a time bomb because boss is clever. So boss usually what he will say, we just discussed, right, that you are going to take up some senior responsibilities. So can you do one thing now? Can you basically take the backup of Vivek project? Now, what happened in this case? Immediately as he said that, can you take the backup of basically Vivek project? Now she came back to Santas and started arguing, I'm already busy. But he said that you have to just take backup. I'm not asking you to work, right? Just take backup of his work. If you ditch me, then only you have to work. Anyway, you are a senior candidate. Anyway, boss is boss. She will not be able to say no, right? You have to work for it. Similarly, he will go to Vivek. He will do the same stuff, right? Because managers usually tell this, right? Everything is confidential. So same thing he will do with Shri also. This is confidential. Do not speak about it outside. Same way, he will call Vivek, tell the same story, and he will ask now to take the backup of nursing project, right? So he is backing up this project. Similarly, nursing, if you note that, nursing have to back up Shri project. He did the same thing with nursing also, and basically now nursing have to back up this basically the Shri project. Now, if you note in this situation, if Vivek took have emergency leave, now boss will not face any trouble, right? Now boss will not face any trouble because the work, who has to do the extra work? In fact, who will be sacked in this scenario? Definitely boss is not going to be sacked, but who is going to be sacked in this scenario? Definitely she is going to be sacked, right? So definitely she is going to face the heat of doing the extra work. Now, similarly, why I'm telling you all this? Because all the components you can relate here. So basically, when we talk about Hadoop, Hadoop is not much different with this. What Hadoop do is, and boss is also keeping one more information, right? So boss is also keeping information of, let's say, what all projects he have, who is working on what project. Let's say Shri is working on project P1 and he have also a backup of P2. So all these details what boss is keeping. When we talk about Hadoop, Hadoop is kind of doing that exactly the similar kind of stuff. But when we talk about boss, the first thing is now in Hadoop what every human is going to be replaced by machines. Now the first component what we were talking about, right? So if we talk about the first component, it was NameNode. The boss is representing NameNode. Second component was data node. These employees who are working basically for that boss, you can represent them as data node. The node where you are doing all the processing, because employee do the work, right? Employee do the work, boss only instruct or manage, right? Same story here. So these are your data node. Third property, what is this? Metadata, right? Even NameNode is going to keep all the data about data. That is called your metadata. Now, what is this? This basically secondary name node and all those stuff. So basically, we require some, like, this is the backup for the data part, right? For this data file P1, P2, P3. But what about this boss backup? So basically, we want to create some backup for that. So that's the reason we keep like passive name node and all those stuff here. Okay. So basically, that is the backup part. That's one of the components. Now that is means, like, let's say in your company they have also backup of boss. Like, if in case if this boss leaves, then I should have all the details. So that's what the backup means here. Now there is one more component called as node manager, resource manager. What are these things? Now what basically a boss is doing, right? What is boss doing? Boss is having the skill set to schedule the job, right? He only decided where to send what, all those details, right? So that you can call it as a part of your resource manager. Kind of scheduling the work. Who is helping you to schedule the work? You can call it as a resource manager, right? Boss have that skill set. Similarly, in your Hadoop, what your resource manager is going to schedule everything up. Now, the last part, right? Node manager. Now, do you think you will be able to work on this project without any skill set? No, right? You require some skill set to work on that project, right? So that skill set, you can relate it like a node manager, which is managing your own node. Means you can relate it like your skill set, which is helping you to solve a project, right? So same way, the node manager, you can say that it is managing the whole node. It is kind of helping the node to execute the task. That you can call it as node manager. So this is how you can relate everything. I hope with this example, now it will make your life easy to remember all these components, because this is a very important question in basically in interview questions. They generally ask this question: what are the configuration files? What basically are the main components? So you should be aware of this, and that's the reason I have explained you with this analogy, so that you get some idea and you can relate to it. That if you have to explain in an interview, you need not remember all this stuff. Okay, let's move further. Now, so can I ask this question now? What are the main Hadoop configuration files, right? So basically now we are talking about configuration files. This is related to mostly Hadoop administration interviews. Now, when you talk about Hadoop administrator, right? So there will be few files which you need to configure. So I hope there are people in this batch, in this session also, where people must have done some Hadoop administrator course, right? So I'm assuming that you few people know that. People who do not know that, let's not worry about this. That's the reason I'm answering this directly. So there are few important files here. One is Hadoop environment.sh. This is where you kind of mention all your environmental variables. For example, where is your Java home? Where is your Hadoop home? All those things you define in Hadoop env.sh. Code site.xml. So this file basically you define where your, let's say, your name node is going to run, right? So you need to tell the address of your name node, where you want to run that. Maybe you want to run at some machine at 9000 port. So you will be telling all that in your code site XML. When we talk about HDFS site XML, here we talk about what should be the replication factor, where should physically my data node should be present, where physically my name node should be present. All those things to define in HDFS site.xml. Yarn site and MapReduce site basically defines the map jobs, right? What kind of cluster you are going to use? Are you going to use, let's say, Mesos, or you are going to use Yarn, or you are going to run a local distributed mode? All those things you will be defining there. Also, you will be defining where your resource manager should be running. It should be running on this machine on 9001 port, or whatever port you want to define, right? So those information you will be defining in Yarn site or MapReduce.xml. Now, last two files are masters and slaves file. In masters file, we usually mention where my secondary name node would be running. When I say secondary name node, it's like a backup. Not exactly I should call it as a backup, but I should call it as a snapshot of the name node. It's something like this, like somebody just copying the metadata. That's it. It's not going to become active as soon as the main node is down. It is copying the data, so that if name node is down, at least I should have a backup. That's it. Slaves, very clear with the name. Where are all my data nodes? What all machines are going to be my data node? That thing we define in my slaves machine. So people who slaves file, sorry. So basically people who have done this Hadoop administrator, you must have basically played with this file. These are the major Hadoop configuration files. There are others as well, right? Like Hive site XML. There are others like HBase site XML. Now these are very much kind of tool specific. So that's the reason they will not be called as the main Hadoop configuration file. When somebody says main Hadoop configuration file, your answer would be these 7 files. You need to remember these 7 files. Basically, these 7 files are the one which you will mention. If you are going for Hadoop administrator interview, expect good number of questions in this. Okay, they will ask you to explain each and every file, how basically you will be, what you do in which file, which I just explained you. Make a note of that, and that is definitely one of the favorite questions of the interviewer when you go for Hadoop administrator kind of role. Moving further, now let's talk about some HDFS questions. In terms of HDFS, now my question is, HDFS stores data using commodity hardware, which has higher chance of failure, which is obvious, right? Because my laptop can be one of the data node, right? Now definitely my data node can fail at any moment. Now, so how HDFS ensures the fault tolerance capability of the system? Can anybody answer this? Very good word. Can I get more answers? I just answered it beforehand itself. Remember that boss and employee relationship. What that boss was doing? Boss was keeping backup, right? Boss was creating backup. Similarly, Hadoop also create backup, right? That backup in Hadoop word is called replication, right? So basically, if you have, let's say, one block P1, you are creating one backup or two backups of basically that block P1, and that is called replication. This is how Hadoop is ensuring that in case of any failure also, there should be no mistake. Okay, we should not be losing data, because in case if one machine fails also, it's okay, it will all work fine for me. So that is what going to happen. So very good, a lot of people have given me the right answer in this case. So block replication is the answer in this case. As you can see in this example also, like block 1 is replicated 3 times, if you notice here, right? So block 1 is replicated 3 times. Similarly, if you notice, block 2 is also replicated 3 times. So these are 4 different machines, and I have replicated block 1, block 2, block 3, block 4, block 5. Okay, so this is what is happening. Edit log and FS image is used to recreate an image. FS image and edit log are 2 different things. These basically are 2 different things. You cannot relate with replication. If you want to know about that, let me just answer you here. So what happens, what is basically this FS image and edit log is? Now, what happens? Basically, you have a NameNode, right? You have a NameNode. Where you keep the data in NameNode? Anybody have answer? Where you keep the data in NameNode? No, not FS image file. Initially, where you keep the data? In NameNode, and not HDFS fetch. I'm asking in NameNode. This can also be an interview question. Very good, Anand. We keep it in memory. Why? Let me answer this part. Let's say there is one client came up. Okay? This is one client. This is client C2. This is client C3. Let's say there are multiple clients. Okay. Now, what is happening in this case is, let's say if this was my name node, and let's say my data in NameNode is, my metadata is, let's say, sitting in disk. What would be the problem here? Let's say client 1 came and want to access some data. What is going to happen? This data will be moved, because any processing which need to happen, right? That happens in memory only, right? Now this data will come to the memory. Once this memory work will be over, then what will happen? Then basically again it will come back to this, right? It will remove it from memory. Now, don't you think there is an input-output operation happening? An input-output operation is always expensive, right? Now imagine if there are multiple clients asking at the same time to the NameNode. Don't you think there will be too many input-output operations? Every time we need to basically bring the block to the memory and then basically do the stuff and give the output. Now this is something which we want to avoid. In order to avoid, what they came up with the idea is that whatever metadata you are going to create should directly be created and kept in memory. Okay, that is what the idea they came up. They are not going to keep any data in the disk right now. Should be directly kept in the memory, which brings another question for you. In fact, a severe question for you. Now, as since you are telling that the data what you can keep in memory, but my RAM is volatile. When I say volatile, I can lose the data at any moment, right? That's very obvious. I can lose the data at any moment because my RAM is always going to be volatile, right? Now I restart my system, my RAM data is gone, right? So I will lose all the metadata. In that case, how I will ensure that I should not lose my metadata? Now what they started doing is, okay fine, I will create everything in NameNode memory only, but what I am going to do is, whenever any, what I'm going to do, at some interval of time, I will keep on taking a backup of that metadata in disk. Okay, in this I will keep on taking the backup of that data, and whatever backup you are taking in the disk from memory is called your FS image. Now, don't you think this FS image is going to be big, right? This FS image is going to be big. Now what usually happens is, usually let's say today my FS image is version FS1. Now usually the backup what they take is every 24 hours. Just give me a moment. If any pop-up kind of thing comes up, it actually stops my system. Now anyway, now what basically is going to happen? So what happens is every 24 hours we usually do this backup. Okay. So basically today we did some backup, tomorrow again this metadata is going to do backup. Now which brings another problem. The problem now again would be, let's say what about in 18th hour or maybe in 23rd hour my machine fails or my RAM fails. In that case I am going to lose that 23-hour data, right? Which is again not good. What should I do for that? Now for that what they came up is that let's create whatever activity is happening here. I will keep on writing in a small file that will be created for let's say 24 hours. Okay, and that file is called as edit log. Then what's going to happen for 24 hours, whatever activity you are doing will be getting stored as a edit log. Okay, now what's going to happen, after every 24 hours this FS1 plus edit log is going to be added up and FS2 will be created. Now in this scenario, even if I lose the data in 23rd hour, my edit log will be having the data, and that's how I am ensuring that I am not losing any data. Now are you clear about this edit log and FS image question? I usually see that people are very confused with this logic, that what is FS image? They just kind of mug up and come back and tell that, I know FS image and edit log, but what exactly are they? I have seen people actually kind of confused with this. So I hope you should be very clear now on this. In which file can this backup time interval be configured? So basically wherever the physical location of NameNode you have configured, and where you configured, I just told you what, in HDFS site.xml, right? So wherever you have configured that, so there will be a name directory in it. In that name directory, there is another subdirectory called as current directory. In that current directory, there is another directory called as SNN directory, which is secondary NameNode directory. There we keep this FS image and edit log files. Clear about this part? So this is where we basically keep them. So can you please summarize the answer once? Sure. You have the same answer of FS image and edit log, but correct. Not exactly two files. One file will be kind of very big file. So that's the reason we are creating a smaller version of that file called as edit log. So that every 24 hours activity we can track. Edit logs are stored in the disk as well. Yes, in the NameNode. So it's kind of act like a backup. That's it. It's a very good interview question. That's the reason as soon as this question came up, I thought to answer it up, though it's not a part of this slide, but this is a very famous interview question. That can you explain this FS image and edit log? And I can tell you that most of the people fail to explain this. Here memory is RAM, correct. So it's just metadata which is stored, correct. It is just creating a backup of that metadata for the 24 hours activity. That means edit log is getting erased and get new data. Yes. Every 24 hours, it just keep on working and kind of erase the data. That's what keep on happening. Okay, or it creates a new version. It depends how your admin have configured that. What if the block data goes more than the memory? Now, in that case, there is something called as fill. Usually it do not go like that, but there is some concept called as spirit. So in that case, there will be some input output operation happening. You have to deal with that. So then you are making your name node slow. So you have to make sure if you should have a good configuration, but if you do not have it, then in that case you have to do input output operation. No other option. Then you have to keep in the disk, and then the data will be having input output. The window is of 24 backup. Can be changed? Yes, it can be changed. To summarize this, what we just talked about, so in NameNode, basically you will be storing all the data, but the problem is my RAM is going to be volatile. Now, because of that, I definitely want to have a backup. Now we keep a backup in the disk, and that whatever backup we are keeping, we call it as FS image. Now, FS image backup is always taken in 24-hour slots. Now, another problem started with this. What happened if I lose the data in 23rd hour? In that case, I should again create a smaller version of the file called as edit log. Okay, that will also be a file. Now, these things will be added and will be basically given. What can be the RAM size? The bigger, the better. So definitely there is no right answer for it. Now definitely if you say that 32 GB is good, I will say how about 128 GB? If you say 128 GB is good, I will say how about 256 GB, because that will be better. What if I have more metadata? So we can keep on arguing and keep on increasing, right? So the more the RAM, better it is for you. Correct, Vivek. With every change in HDFS, there's a bit log. Yes, correct. That's what basically happened. Now let's move further. So I hope now everybody should be clear with this question. Though it's a separate question, but actually it's good that you brought it up, because that's one of the very famous interview questions. So I thought to cover it up. Now, another question: what is the problem in having lot of small files in HDFS? Please provide one method to overcome this problem. Can I get this answer? Can I get this answer? So what are the problems if you will have small files in HDFS? And also, can you give me basically a method to overcome this problem? Change block size. If you change the block size, no, I want a better answer. I want a better answer. NameNode memory will be overload. Good. Now you are coming to right track. See, RAM will run out. Yeah, because if you will have small data, right? If you will have small files, definitely your metadata is going to be kind of too much, right? Your metadata entry will be too many, and that's how you will be kind of filling up your RAM, right, of your basically NameNode. We just learned that every metadata is stored in the RAM of the NameNode. Now, what are the solution for it? So this is the problem. What is the solution for it? Having larger data block size so that NameNode will have reasonable metadata to handle. I can take this answer, but I'm expecting a better answer sheet. More map jobs will be used. Yes, that's also one of the problems. Merge them and save them. Very good, George. Okay, what's your name basically? Jo Chala. I hope that should not be a real name. I don't know why it's showing me Jo Chala. Oh, is this your real name? Because it's telling me twice Jo Chala. Okay, so it should be once, right? It should be once. I should call it. Okay, then fine. Now, so I don't know, this is occurring 2 times, so that's why I'm feeling it weird. So increasing block size in HDFS, merging the file with same, and it's easier to read and write the data. Somebody just answered. Can you combine everything? That is the right answer. We can create .har file. In your Windows, what you do? You create a zip file, right? Or a RAR file. Similarly, in Hadoop also you can do that. You can create a .har file, which is called as Hadoop archive. So you can bring all the small files into one folder together, kind of zipping it together. Now basically with that, what's gonna happen? It's gonna just keep only one metadata entry for it. The metadata entry is going to be reduced. How to do that? This is the command. Hadoop archive. Now hyphen archive name, whatever archive name you want to give it, your input location and output location. Okay, so basically this is how you can deal with the smaller files as well. Better to create a zip file. This is what you do in the real time also, right? When you have multiple files of the same type, you zip them, right? Just to keep them together. So the same thing you will be doing in Hadoop as well. Moving further. Now, another question. This is also a very interesting question and an easy question also. Suppose there is a file of size 514 MB stored in HDFS 2.x using default block size configuration and default replication factor. We did an assignment with image files. I'm on LinkedIn as Jyoti Chala. Okay, now I got it. So using default block size configuration and default replication factor, then how many blocks will be created in total and what would be the size of this block? Okay, before you answer this, can I get an answer? What is the default replication factor and what is the default block size if I'm talking about Hadoop 2.x? Very good. So replication, as everybody said, 3 MB. What is the size? Very good, 128 MB. Now it's very easy to answer. Can everybody answer how to split this 514 MB of file? How to split this 514 MB of file? It's in front of you. You can do the calculation and give me the answer as well. Can I get this answer? Very good. 15 block. Lot of people have given me basically less. They said 5 block. But don't you think there will be a replication also of all the block? So a lot of people who are giving me this answer of 4 block is completely wrong, Anand, right? Because there will be a block of 2 MB as well, right? If you notice what's going to happen, this is 128 into 4 is basically 512, right? There will be 2 MB blocks. So there are going to be 5 blocks. Because the replication is 5, now replication factor is 3, so it's going to be 5 into 3, 15 block. Okay, this is how basically you will be calculating. This is a very famous interview question. Moving further, how to copy a file into HDFS with a different block size to that of existing block size configuration. Can I get an answer? What basically I'm asking is, let's say you have a block size of 128 MB by default. But when you are copying that data, right, when you are doing, let's say, SDFS-put, SDFS-FS-put, maybe you want to now use the block size of 32-bit, not the default of 128-bit. Then what you will do to achieve this? Yes, there is a parameter. What is that parameter? What is that parameter? Block size? No. Can you see this? DFS dot block size. Okay. So what you need to do? You need to just define the basically the bytes what you want to mention. So 32 bytes is equivalent to this number. Okay. 32 bytes is equivalent to this number. So you need to basically define the bytes what you want to put it up. Now while doing any command, let's say hyphen put or maybe hyphen copy from local, there you can mention this DFS dot block size and whatever number of bytes you want to mention. So you can mention that. Okay. If you want to check the block size, you have another command called as stat. Hadoop fs hyphen stat, and you can see all the statistics related to it. So it will tell you how many bytes it is basically distributed and everything up. You can basically directly use this stat thing and you will get that output as well. Okay, this is sometimes useful in projects, and that's the reason it's a very good interview question as well. Because a lot of time in the projects you don't want to use the default size, you want to change some other number. So in that case you will be using this, because one way is either you change everything from your configuration files, which is not a good idea to do. So better thing is programmatically you deal with it, and here you can change it by the usage of DFS dot block size. Okay. So it's not block underscore size, correct? I hope you got your answer. What's the mistake you were doing? It should be block size. But you are close. Now, what is a block scanner in HDFS? Can I get this answer? This is usually a question in your Hadoop administration. This is basically what your Hadoop administrators do. So people who have done this Hadoop administration classes, can you answer this? I'm expecting this answer basically from you. Even others can answer. What is a block scanner in HDFS? What is a block scanner in HDFS? Can I get answer? Nobody is answering this. Who all have done administration code or no administrator, Hadoop administration? Can I get answers? Who all have done? I'm not asking you to answer me this part. Just to answer me, who all have done this Hadoop administrator course? Initially, few people mentioned it that I have done this administrator course. You must have read about block scanner. Okay, let me answer this part. Usually in a block scanner, Okay, Bird is answering now to check if the block has any empty space left in the block. Okay, one of the answer I can take, but not exact answer. It's not very good. Scans the block and report the remaining spaces. Okay, okay. Again, I can take partially this answer. Not just reclaiming space, but in fact it ensures the integrity of your data blocks. Okay, it basically keep on reporting every data node will keep on reporting to the name node, and it will keep on checking the integrity of the data block. Let's say if any data block got kind of corrupted, right, or maybe the replica value become low, right, all those things it keeps on monitoring and try to rectify it. Okay, so it will basically keep informing the name node. That's the reason this has been usually done by administrators, because they keep on monitoring the health of the data nodes, data block, name node. They're also responsible for this work, right? So this is what they keep on doing in order to make sure that they use block scanner basically to do that. Okay, there is one more way to check the replication factor. Anybody know what is that? There is one more way to check the replication factor. So this is about block scanner, but there is one more way to check the replication factor. Environmental file, no. Heartbeat, no. Heartbeat will just tell that data node is good or not. Data node, right? I'm talking about, let's say, some file got under replicated. In that case, who will kind of inform NameNode? Let's say block scanner is not there. There is something called as Hadoop load balancer. I'm not sure if you have read about that. Hadoop load balancer. That basically ensures that if your data blocks are not up, right? If they're under replicated or not, that basically informs that okay, this is under replicated. Let me take care of it. Okay, so this is basically the way also to check the under replicated or over replicated blocks. Can multiple clients write into an HDFS file concurrently? Can I get this answer? If somebody asks you this question, can multiple clients write into an HDFS file concurrently? Interesting. I'm getting one yes, one no. Now two yes, one no. Okay, two no, two yes. Lot of yes. Okay. Do you think it should be feasible to write multiple write? I'm not saying reading. I'm saying writing. Notice this part. Now can you answer? Don't you think it will make my file inconsistent? Yes, single file I'm talking about. Don't you think it will make my file inconsistent if I do that? Right? It will make my file inconsistent. So it is not allowed. Basically, it allowed only one writing and multiple reading stuff. So that's the reason. Single file it will not allow you to basically keep on writing by at the same time by multiple clients. It will not allow you to basically do that for multiple clients at the same time. Once one client is writing, it will be kind of file will be kind of locked for other clients. Once the client have written, after that only the other clients can write. But everybody can read concurrently. That is one thing which is very important in Hadoop. So writing at the same time is not possible concurrently, but reading is possible. That's how HDFS is basically created. Why they have not allowed multiple writes together at the same time? Because if they do, it can make the file inconsistent. That will be a big trouble, and that's the reason they do not allow you to do concurrent write. Because this is distributed system. If multiple clients will write on the same file, now maybe somebody can overwrite my change, right? So that's the reason they will not allow you to do this. Okay, this is my architecture. Another question. What do you mean by high availability of NameNode and how it is achieved? Can I get this answer? How this is achieved and what do you understand by high availability of the NameNode? In fact, I already answered this in boss example. You can answer me this part, not replication. The RAP awareness, NameNode fails of caches, they will be standby. So, okay, few people are giving right answer now. Active and passive NameNode. What basically happens in this cases? So, let's say if there are two, in fact, let me show you the slide itself. We have drawn it properly. See this part. there will be two name nodes running. One will be active name node and one will be passive name node. So what happens is, let's say this is my active name node which is running, okay, and what these data nodes are there at, who are reporting to the active name node. Now we also create a passive name node. Now this passive name node also, these data nodes will be reporting. This passive name node will not be doing anything, but it will just keep on collecting the data from your data nodes. Okay, that is what the role of passive name node would be. Now, as soon as this, because this now is reading, right? So it knows the status of data node. It knows that where the blocks are being written, everything, it has the information. Now suddenly if this machine is down, in that case my passive name node will ensure, it will immediately start acting like a backup, and that is how it is ensuring high availability. You are not going to lose your cluster time. So basically the downtime will not be there. Immediately your passive name node will start acting like an active name node. Okay, so this is how basically the Hadoop is ensuring high availability. This is a very famous interview question. Passive and secondary name node, good question. Difference between passive name node and secondary name node. Secondary name node we used to use in Hadoop 1.x. Now secondary name node, what used to happen was, secondary name node, you can say it's just like a snapshot of this machine. Means you're just copying the data to other machine. But if my active name node is down, if my main name node is down, in that case my secondary name node will not start acting like a backup. It will only keep the data, but it will not start acting immediately like a name node. It will just keep the data. You have to physically, manually kind of bring the name node up, copy the data from your secondary name node to primary name node, and then start working on it. But in passive name node, yes, but so it's kind of a human intervention, right? Manual intervention is required here, and there will be a downtime. There will be a downtime here. But when it comes to the active and passive name node, passive name node is going to ensure that it is not only collecting the data, metadata, but as soon as active name node is down, passive name node start acting like a active name node. Clear on this difference, Badna? No, Anand, you have asked this question, right? Clear about this question, answer? Anand, the difference should be very clear to you. Wait. So let's move further. Okay, so we have few more questions now. So this is for MapReduce side. So let's do one thing, friends. Let's take a 5 minutes break. Okay? Let's take a 5-minute break, and we will start with MapReduce questions. Okay. I'm not sure. Maybe Edureka guys, somebody will answer you. Just need a sip of water or so. So just give me 5 minutes. We will take a. Okay, you want 10 minutes? Ravi, this is just basically a 2 to 3 hour session, so we don't want to make it too much. Let's make it a 7 to 8 minutes. Will that work? Let's come up with a in middle kind of solution. So let's come back by maybe by 10:03. Okay, we will start that. Have a water break also. We will come back to MapReduce. Then we have Hive, we have Sqoop, and that. So let's come. Everybody, please be back by 10:03. Exactly, I'm going to start by 10:03. Okay, so guys, everybody is back now. Everybody back? Naveen, you should be able to hear me now. Okay, looks like he's restarting. Okay, fine. So now we are going to start. So basically now we are going to start with MapReduce topic. Okay. Now no, yeah, I'm not shared. I'm just going to share that. Just give me a second. It takes almost a few seconds to basically come to this. Now I hope it should be showing to you. Okay. Meanwhile, I have talked with Edureka team, and they have informed me that you all will be receiving this video recording in a day or two. Okay. Since that was a question from a lot of people, will we be getting all this video recording or not? So you will be getting this video recording on your email ID in a day or two. So all these things will be there with you. So I think that will be a quick review for you if you want to take a look at any moment. Now, question for you. Can you explain me the process of spilling in MapReduce? This is an interesting question. In fact, think from a perspective of where mapper keeps the output, and from that you can basically make out what is this spelling. I give you a biggest hint possible here. So can you give me this answer? Can you explain the process of spilling in MapReduce? Spills to temp folder LFS, when it spills and from where it spills. Can I get this answer? Mapper phase. Very good. What usually happens is the output of your mapper task, it goes to your RAM. Now what basically gonna happen, they have kept a specific size of that thing. So let's say they keep let's say just 100 MB. Now 100 MB of data will be kept, let's say, in RAM, but they will be keeping a threshold. So it will slowly keep on filling up, Then what will happen? As soon as it will reach a threshold, let's say 80% of that RAM of 100 MB is filled, it will start filling that output to the local disk. Notice here, I am not saying HDFS, I am saying local disk. Okay, to local disk only we will be keeping this data. Local disk means your C drive, D drive, wherever you want to keep up. So this is how they have designed it. So as soon as the mapper output in the memory reaches to a threshold limit, it starts filling that mapper data to your local disk, and this phase is called as spilling phase in MapReduce. Okay. So this question is also asked, and this shows basically the internal working of your MapReduce. Okay, so basically this is how internally your MapReduce work. So this is how this is spilling the data. Once it's spilling, it will again come down, and you can keep more and more data in it. Which brings me to another question. Can you explain me the difference between block, input splits, and record? This is a very famous interview question. Can anybody answer me quickly? What is the difference between blocks, input split, and records? What is the difference between these three? Friends, this is a very important question. If you have done this MapReduce part, then you must be knowing this part. Difference between blocks, input split, and records. Very good, Jyoti. So Jyoti is answering record is a single line of data, right? Very good. Kanan is saying block is hard cut of data, just 128 MB. Very good, Kanan, right? Block is equal to 128 MB. If record is 130 MB, input split will happen. Very good. Block is based on block size. Input split makes sure that the line is not broken. So it makes sense record is single line. Block is set by HDFS. Input split is logically split. Very good. Very good. So what usually happens, right? So let's say when we talk about block, so let's say you have default space is 128 MB. So that will be called as a physical block. Okay. When we talk about input split, right? So let's say if your data is of 130 MB. Now in that case, don't you think it makes sense to have a logical split of 130 MB here? So that will be your input split. And record is when you do MapReduce programming, right? When you do MapReduce programming, how your mapper take the data? It takes line by line, right? It takes line by line. That line is called record. So one line of data which it picks up in the mapper phase is called your record. Okay, very, very famous question on this part. So you can say block is a physical division, while logical division are called your input splits and records. Okay, because the logical division is what your MapReduce program do. Which brings me to another question, again related to MapReduce. What is the role of record reader in Hadoop MapReduce? What is the role of record reader in Hadoop MapReduce? Make sure to read the complete record. No. How that is how mapper reads a record. Good. But Digambar, can you be a little more explicit? You are coming close to the answer. Can I get more answer? Also, Digambar, can you just be a little more explicit? That is how mapper read and record. You're coming close. What about others? What is record? Record is single line. We have just understood it. So what should be record, reader? Parsing that single line. Very good word, right? So don't you think that single write what you are reading, and how mapper convert your data? It converts into key value pair, right? So it initially takes an input as a key value pair. So when that conversion is happening, that is done basically by record reader. Look at this. See, let's say this is the data. It will be getting converted to key value pair, where key is called your offset and value is first line, right? Or second line or third line, right? So this is done by record reader. Okay, so this is what record reader do. Now, what is the significance of counters in MapReduce? Significance of counters in MapReduce. Okay, give statistics of data. Counters will be done in NameNode. Okay, counters to validate the data read to calculate bad records. Good. Not just bad records, people. It can do even other things, right? It just bad record is just one example, right? It's just one example you can say. So what it do is it helps you to identify the statistics, right? Now basically it gives you the statistics about some operation what you want to do. You can print it in the console also. I believe that if you have done this Hadoop course, you must have seen one code for your counters, right? Where you must be doing some sort of operations and you might be printing it on your console window. Now, how you will be doing all that? So what you will do, let's say we are applying counters on this example. And in this example, as I think somebody just mentioned for the kind of reading the bad data, this example actually bring up the same thing, but it can do even other things. I will tell you what are the things now. But let's take this example. Let's say we want to find out what all bad data I have in this. So let's say it is reading David, all good, no problem. Counter will remain as 0. Then what it did, it basically just gave the value as 0. It reached to the second line. Now this value move up. Now basically this was the bad data. I read it. I passed the statistics. Now counter value became 1. It reached to Jeff. If the value stays as 1 because this is a good data. Now Sean, again the value remains the same. Now as soon as it reaches the last line of bad data, it will again increase this counter and will return that I have 2 bad lines of code. But does that mean we can only do this operation on this? No. Maybe I can have an example where let's say I have data of which is let's say of timestamp. Timestamps are there. Okay. I want to print in this time. So timestamp I can convert to date type, right? In my program, I can convert it to date type. Now, when I convert to date type, maybe I have months being defined, right? Because in date I have months. Now, maybe I want to find out or want to calculate the statistics that in among this timestamp, how many times January is occurring, how many times February is occurring, how many times March, April and all are occurring. Let's say I want to identify all the statistics. I can do that with the help of counters very easily. Okay, so this is the purpose of your counters. Now, moving further, why the output of map tasks was spilled into the local disk and not in HDFS? Good question now. Can you answer me this? Remember we talked about, yes, we have just discussed that question, right? So we have just seen spilling. Now, how can we assess counters? There are basically libraries available for that. There are classes available. Get counters is the member function to get that. This is how basically we'll be assessing it. So counter is a class in which we have member functions, predefined functions. Using that you can assess that. Because it's an intermediate output, okay? Intermediate output, that's fine. But why we are not keeping in HDFS? That's my question. When I can keep intermediate output in HDFS? Very good, Ramya. Very good, Narsimha. So basically, if you notice what happens, if you keep in HDFS, right? Remember, there is a replication factor, right? That replication factor will do what? it will increase the number of output blocks. Do you think it makes sense to increase the replication for your mapper output? Definitely a big no, right? So that's the reason we will be keeping in your local file system. We will not keep in HDFS. Otherwise, HDFS will replicate even mapper output, which we don't want to happen to do. So that's the reason we will stop that. So we will be keeping in the local disk, not in HDFS, in order to avoid basically the replication. Which brings me to another question. Can you define this speculative execution? Can you define this speculative execution? Can I get this answer? Can we define speculative execution? It prioritizes only some task, coming close but not exactly right, Namsuna. If a job in a node is taking much time, very good people. So this is what happens in speculative execution. Let's say if any of your task is running very slow, in that case your speculator, there will be a scheduler which will basically start a duplicate task of it. It will start running a duplicated task for it to ensure that basically that duplicate task runs faster, and once it will finish, it will kill all the duplicate tasks. So it is just kind of making sure that, because it can happen, right? Maybe your task is waiting due to some resource, it got blocked due to any reason. So in that case, it will start immediately a duplicate task and making sure that your job finish quickly. Okay, so this is the part of your speculative execution. Which brings me another question. Question is, how will you prevent very good. How will you prevent a file from splitting in case you want the whole file to be processed by same mapper? How you will prevent a file from splitting in case you want the whole file to be processed by same mapper? I want my file to be now basically to be used by the same mapper, not combined, not combine or recombine. Can I get some more answers? It's easy. Can you see this part? So what we can do here is, first of all, we can increase the minimum number of split size, which should now make it larger than your last file, right? This operation is itself good enough to make this case true, right? Because if we increase the size itself, we will be all good. But there is one more thing which you can do after that is, this is method 2 basically. In method 1, you can just basically increase the size itself, it will be all good. Or what you can do, you can go to your input format class, and in that you can just update this property. You can make this is splittable to be returning first. Usually people prefer method 1 because that's the easiest method, right? You need not update the Java code basically to achieve all this. So what you will do for this? Can you please tell a scenario where file splitting is not needed? It all depends, right? So let's say if I know that I have only one data node. I mean, let's say I have only one data node. Now, in that one data node, do you think it makes sense to divide a file multiply together? I have only one data node, right? Do you think it makes sense? Because again, it's in the same machine, right? So that's the reason there you want to basically keep one block itself so that I can execute it. So these can be few situations where you can decide not to split the file, and in that case, how you will be doing it? These are the two methods to achieve this. Okay, moving further. Is it legal to set the number of reducer tasks to 0? That's question number 1. Where the output will be stored in this case? Is it legal to set the number of reducer tasks to 0? Is it legal? Definitely legal, right? Everybody have used Sqoop. In Sqoop, was there any reducer? Was there any reducer in Sqoop? No. Sqoop only used mapper, no reducer, right? That's itself a tool, right? When a tool is not even creating any reducer, definitely I will not be using that, right? So what is going to happen here is, let's say, so what was the purpose of reducer? Purpose of reducer is when you want to do some sort of aggregation, right? maybe you want to submit in the end and all those category kind of thing. But it's not mandatory that all the problem statement in the word require aggregation, right? So those problems where you do not require aggregation, like I said, Sqoop, because in Sqoop what happens? You copy the data from RDBMS to your HDFS or vice versa. Now, are you doing any sort of aggregation? No, right? You're just copying the file from RDBMS to your HDFS system. No aggregation required. So in those cases, you will be having reducer as 0. Output where to store? Definitely whatever mapper output is coming, wherever you are telling, it will be stored in that HDFS location, right? So that's how you will be using it. So definitely the answer is yes, and basically wherever the mapper output you are keeping, there it will be getting stored. What is the role of application master in MapReduce job? Can I get this answer? This is a very famous interview question. What is the role of application master in MapReduce job? To assign the task, okay, that's it. Only to assign the task. Sets the input split, okay. It manages the application fired and keep track of sub process. That's it. Before nothing else. To get the resources needed for the task. Very good, Ramya. Now you are coming here. You are coming close. To create task until it runs. Yes. What basically application master do? First thing is application master is kind of deciding that how many resources it needs. Okay. And it can basically now inform resource manager that I require this many resource and give me this many resource to execute that. Then after that, resource manager give back the container, right? If you might have gone through your yarn architecture, right? There you might have understood all these portions, right? So basically what happens, it first basically find out how many resources are required. Secondly, what it want to do is, it basically want to find out, once it happens, when it gets all the container, it kind of basically gets them working together. It collects the output back and return it to basically the master node. So it is doing multiple things in MapReduce. It's basically not doing just one task. It is also checking, which is a very important role of it. It is checking that how many resources I require and kind of helping the resource manager to take that decision. Okay, so this is what the same thing being explained here, the role of your application master. Which brings me to another question. What do you mean by over mode? So when your MapReduce job runs, I'm not sure whether you have noticed that or not. There is something called as over mode. It sometimes comes in your console, if you have noticed that. So can you tell me what is that over mode? Is there any advantage of switching on the Uber mode? What basically Uber mode is going to do? Runs on application master node. Very good. Can I get some more answers? More insight on this? Good people. Can I get some more answers? Yes. So let's say if you have a small job, right? If you have a small job, in that case, you're basically, again, application master need to be anywhere. Now application master will request and then it will allocate container, right? So container sending and all, basically creating container, all those things are time consuming things. If the jobs are small, what your application master can do, application master can start a JVM in itself. Okay, so basically application master can decide to complete your job. Because the job is small, it may decide to complete the job on its own. In that case, we call it as over mode. So over mode basically require less. It's when you will be using, let's say, less number of mappers, let's say only 10 mappers. You have only one reducer to work on. So in those cases, you use over mode. Now, how to enable all that? So basically, there's a property which you can set to true, and it will basically enable your over mode. In which, what's going to happen? Your application master will start acting like a JVM and will finish the job. So thus, it will save you by creating containers, making your performance better. So usually, what people do is, whenever they will be having some sort of, whenever they will be having small jobs, right? and they want to improve the performance, they usually kind of enable the Uber mode. So now the application master itself start executing the task, and that way they improve the performance. But when you have a bigger job, it will not work. In that case, you need to keep the Uber mode as possible. Otherwise, you will degrade your performance. It will not even work. Okay, so this is basically your Uber mode. Another question: how you will enhance the performance of MapReduce jobs when dealing with too many small files? If you have, let's say, many small files, in that case, very good paper. Yeah, that's also one thing. If you have, let's say, many small files, how you can improve the performance of your MapReduce job? Combiner? No. Coming close, but not the right answer. Too many small files are there. Then now what you will do? Basically, there is something called as, because none of you give the very right answer, there is something called as combined file input format. That's the reason I told you what you are coming close, but not exactly coming right. So what this do is it kind of package all the small files together. See this diagram. See this part. Like these are some small files. It basically now combined all the files together. Now because these small files got combined together, now my execution time will be faster. This is basically one practical thing which is being represented. This performance, can you see? Like the small files was taking this much of time, and basically with this, when you combine this, it actually started taking less time. So thus improving the performance of your system. So this is how basically you can improve the performance if you have multiple small files. Now let's move to Hive. Hive is very important topic. Now question for you: where the data of Hive table gets stored? The data I know that is going to be in HDFS, but where is the location of that? Where is the location for that? But what is the default folder? That's the question. Very good. Now you are coming close. So by default, you keep it in /user/hive/warehouse. So this is the location where by default all your Hive table gets stored. If you want to change this, you can go to your hivesite.xml and can update this setting as well. Another question: why HDFS is not used by Hive Metastore for storage? What I mean is, you might have read in your course that you keep your Hive, basically your Metastore, in your RDBMS, right? Not in HDFS. What is the reason behind that? Why we not keep all these things in my HDFS? Why your Metastore is created in your RDBMS? Why you are configuring your Metastore in RDBMS for Hive? Why not in HDFS? Can I get this answer? Why you are keeping your Metastore in your RDBMS system and not in your HDFS? I can tell you this is the most important question of Hive. In any interview of Hive you will go, expect this question. This usually everyone asks for random access, but that you can do in HDFS also. Ramya, it needs DB catalog. What is that catalog? Because it needs to use JDBC connection? No, that's not the answer. Okay, let me ask you this question, okay, which is actually the main reason for it. So let's say if what you do is, when you create a table in Hive, what happens? It creates an entry for that table in Metastore table, right? What it's doing? It's inserting the row level, right? At a row level it is inserting. You created another table in Hive, again you are basically inserting some values here, right? Now let's say you deleted some table in Hive. What happened? It did a row level delete. Can you do this row level delete, row level insertion and all in your HDFS? Okay, you are referring to the same thing, Rajesh Puri, then you are good. Can you do this basically this in your HDFS? No, right? This itself is a good answer to explain this, right? And second thing is definitely in RDBMS, the seeking time is going to be faster and all. Those are the other factors. But first thing is basically your CRUD operation cannot be done in HDFS. That's the reason we will not be able to keep in HDFS itself. Forget about other factors, right? They do not make any sense in fact, because my first property itself is failing of basically CRUD operation. Now, let's see some scenario questions. Usually in Hive, Pig, you will find some scenario questions coming up. Now, scenario question is, suppose I have installed Apache Hive on top of my Hadoop cluster. Can you please show the last answer? Sure, why not? See this answer in the clear? Let's move forward. Now, can we see this question now? Suppose I have installed Apache Hive on top of my Hadoop cluster using default metastore configuration. Then what will happen if we have multiple clients trying to access Hive at the same time? Can I get this answer? Suppose I have installed Apache Hive on top of my Hadoop cluster by using default metastore configuration. Then what will happen if we have multiple clients trying to access Hive at the same time? Very good. Usually in Hive, you can only basically access one by one client. So multiple client access itself is not allowed, right? Very good, Narasimha. They have given basically the right answer for it. So usually these are the scenarios what it follows. So main thing is your multiple client access in Hive is not allowed. This is by architecture, right? Because you should maintain the read consistency. Very good, Rajeshwar, right? So that's the reason this itself is not going to work out. So basically that is what you need to keep in mind. What is the difference between external table and managed table? In fact, managed table you also call it as internal table. So can I get an answer? What is the difference between external table and managed table? Can I get this answer? External table can be a file, okay, but I want a difference, proper difference. External table where the HDFS file won't be deleted if we delete the table. When you say HDFS file, okay, I can accept your answer, Narasimha. External table is stored in separate location of our thread, but even internal table I can store it at some other location by defining the location keyword. And the external table keeps data when it gets deleted. Very good. That is the major factor. When you talk about managed table, what happens is if you have deleted any of the table, what is going to happen? It will delete the entry in your metastore. At the same time, it is also going to delete the data file. But in external table, if you delete a table, it is going to only delete the entry in your metastore, not from your main data. Okay, so that is the major difference basically in the managed table and external table. Another question, when should we use sort by instead of order by? If you notice, these two APIs belongs to Hive and these two basically going to do exactly same thing. So when should I use sort by and not order by operation? When should I use sort by and not order by operation? So basically to answer this, not able to catch things. I did not get this, Ravi. When we should have only one mapper. Okay, Ravi, I think you are in 5th module, right? So that's the reason. Yeah, I can understand. You have told me in the starting itself, right, that you are still going through this course. So if you are not getting it, it's completely fine. Just listen to this, okay? Just listen to this conversation. Once you will go over these course topics in basically from wherever you are doing, you will be all comfortable with it. Okay, basically now I can understand if you will not get anything because these modules is not being taught to you yet. So these are basically the new modules which will be taught later. Now, can I get this answer? In case of numericals, no, that you can use also order by. One of it use reducer, other use mappers. Okay. When you use group by operation, no, that's not the way. Actually, what happens is if you have huge data set, in that case, you should use basically the sort by option. It usually do this sorting on multiple reducer, while order by do it on one reducer. That is basically the major difference. So when you have huge data set, use sort by instead of order by. Okay, a lot of people remain confused with this. That's why this is a very tricky question. What people are usually, if you ask anyone, right, if you do not know the answer, he will tell you both do the same thing. But actually, that's not the fact. There is a difference. Now, another question, what's the difference between partition and bucket in Hive? I think the most easiest question to answer. Can everybody answer this? Whoever have done on Hive topic. What's the difference between partition and bucket? This is the most easiest answer. Can I get this answer? Difference between partition and bucket. Simple, right? Partition is basically at the first level, right? When you split the data into different directories. Bucket is like a sub-partitions of that, right? So even for that partition itself, when you create another sub-partitions, you can call them as bucket. Like in this case, can you see the first partition is PLC department, civil department, electrical department, but after that we have also created some sub-partitions of it, and that is your bucket. That's basically the difference here. Another question. Let's say this is the scenario. You are creating a transaction table. Now, this is the table what you have. Like transaction table is the table. You have this many columns, delimited field by comma. Now, let's say you have inserted 50,000 tuples in this table. Now, I want to know the total revenue generated for each month, but Hive is taking too much time in processing this query. Can you tell me what the solution you are going to provide? This scenario is actually a very good interview scenario. Very good. Can I get more answers? Very good people. Can I get more answers? You will be partitioning this table. How you will be partitioning? You will be partitioning your table with month, right? So basically, if you partition a table, you will improve your performance. So these are the simple steps. You can create a table, partition by month, set these properties to true so that you can enable your partition, insert the data, and then you can retrieve the data where your month is going to January. So while after partitioning the table, you can improve the performance. Second thing. Can I get an answer of this? What is dynamic partitioning and when is it used? Can I get this answer? What is dynamic partitioning and when is it used? That can be static partitioning also, right? So I want to know what is dynamic partitioning. Very good. Partition happens when loading the data into table. Right now I don't know that if I do a dynamic partitioning, where it is, how many partitions also it is going to create. So the value of your partition columns will be known only during your runtime when you will be creating the partition. That is called your dynamic partitioning. Okay. How Hive distribute the rows into bucket? Can I get this answer? How Hive distributes the rows into bucket? Very good. Hash algorithm. Okay. It uses the hash algorithm. To understand this part, if you look, what we are doing here is, now, no, you will be using clustered by, but basically in the how internally this is built. That's basically how it is built. Let's say you want to put into two buckets. In that case, it is going to do modulo of 2. Okay. So let's say modulo of 2, this output came out to be 1. So it will decide to put in bucket 1. Modulo 2, it is going to become 0. It is going to keep in this second bucket. So this is how it will be decided. Okay. It will be using basically a hash computation of this. So basically it will be using hash function of this. So let's say hash value of this value came out to be 1, hash function of this value came out to be 2, hash function values this came out to be 3. Then basically it is doing this modulo operation and giving the output, and that's how it distributes the bucketing data. Now, which brings another question. Suppose I have a CSV file which is named as sample.csv present in tm10 directory with the following entries. In that case, how you will consume this CSV file into Hive warehouse using built-in Serde. Serde means serialization. Serdis, deserdis, that's basically serialization, deserialization. When you convert your data into kind of bytes. Can I get this answer? Row format delimited by comma, not exactly. I'm looking for something else. Actually, this requires some API. So let me show you this part. See this answer. In this case, you will say raw format serde org.apache.hive.serde2.opencsv serde. This is what you need to add. Okay. Now you got it. What's the mistake you are doing? So basically, this is what you need to add. Otherwise, everything is same. You can save it in the TMP folder and all that. Just that the only difference will come in row format serde. Another question. I have lot of small CSV files present in input directory in HDFS, and I want to create a single table, Hive table corresponding to these files. The data in these files are in this format. Now, as we know, Hadoop performance degrades when we use lot of small files. So how you will solve this problem? Can anybody give me a simple answer of this? This should be easy. You have multiple small files. Now in that case, what should be the solution? Because definitely my performance is going to degrade. What should I do? Concatenate solve file, but can there be another answer? Don't you think you can use sequence file here? Sequence file, right? One solution can be to that is from my HDFS level itself, Girish, right? I'm talking from basically Hive perspective, right? Don't you think I can convert in a sequence file? Sequence file will convert everything like 0101 kind of thing. So that's what make it better, right? Will improve my performance. So first create a table, load the data. After that, what you do, store it as sequence file. And then basically load this data from this file, what you've inserted, to this file. This will ensure now that your speed will be quick. Why do we need to do in Serdis? Why do we, okay. So basically when you do Serdis, right, the advantage what you get is, so let's say first thing is compression, because you are serializing the data. When you serialize the data, it makes the transfer also very easy, because we have converted like 010101 kind of entry, right? So first thing is when you convert to Serdis, you compress the data. Second thing, since you convert to this 01 format, now the transfer over the network becomes a lot easier for me. Clearly, Kamba? That's the reason we basically use this schema. So, remember, there is no free lunch, right? There is nothing called as free lunch. Don't you think this will also have a disadvantage? When you do a deserialization, again you need to convert it back. Don't you think it will impact your performance a bit, right? So remember, there is no free lunch. Though it is helping you in this act, but at the same time it will demand your performance. It will eat up some of your performance. Now some quick questions. Can you give me this answer? Difference between logical and physical plans? Should be simple. Difference between logical and physical plans. I know guys that you got little tired because this is a big session, but don't worry, we are almost getting there. So I want everybody attention to be back now. Can you tell me the difference between logical and physical plan? This must be the first thing what you must have learned in your Hadoop course when you went to pick topic. Whenever you are executing statement by statement, okay, it is just executing the statement, nothing. In that case, first it creates a logical plan. Means, let's say if there is no error, right? In that case, it is just creating a logical plan. But when you do dump, right? When you do dump, then only the execution starts, right? Because of lazy evaluation. Then your logical plan kind of get converted to like a physical plan. Means it start getting executed. Now let's say if you have given the wrong file path, right? In logical plan, it will not give you any error because there is no syntax error. Only at the time of physical plan, it will give you an error. So physical plan is when you are basically executing your MapReduce job, when this pig is getting converted to MapReduce job, and while logical plan is at the initial level. Okay, so that is what happens. Can you tell me what is bag? What is bag? Collection of tuples. Very good, right? So basically, when you say a whole data file itself, right? Collection of tuples, if you notice. So let's say this is a data, right? If this is a data, now if you see this is one tuple, this is second tuple, this is third tuple. So collection of all these things will be called as bag. Okay, collection of all these things will be called as bag. Now, how Hive is only working with like Hive is able to deal with only structured data, but Pig is able to deal with unstructured data. Pig is able to deal with unstructured data? Can I get this answer? How Pig is able to deal with unstructured data? It is actually happening because of schema-less part, right? Schema-less part. Basically, if you do not have schema, if you do not have schema defined, then also Pig can work. What Pig do is, let's say you do not know, like in Hive you have column names, right? Let's say column name is age, integer, all that, right? So you need to define the column names. In Pig there is nothing like that. So let's say if you do not know the column name, there is no schema being defined. You can define it like this. First column you can define by $1. Second column you can define with $2. So that's how you can also define. So basically in Pig you can define even your schema-less thing. Okay, so you don't have anything, it will treat it like null. It will start treating, if you do not define data type, it will start taking it as byte. So basically Pig kind of converts your values to other way. So basically that's the reason you can basically go with Pig with unstructured data. This is one of the major reasons that Pig can deal even unstructured data, while Hive cannot do, because Pig kind of converts the data or treat that data in different ways, right? Like if you don't have column name, you can define this as $2, $1, all those things as well. What are the different execution modes available in Pig? So there are two modes, right? One is local mode, one is MapReduce mode. Yeah, sure, Emily, can do that. This is the same thing, Emily. Like if you have no data, it treat it like byte array. If you don't have column, it start treating like $1, $2, right? One before. Okay. This one, back. Got it now? Great. Let's move further. Now, so there are two modes available. One is MapReduce mode, one is local mode. So when you go with Pig in MapReduce mode, so when you just type Pig, right, it takes you to the grunt shell. By default, it takes you to the MapReduce mode, which basically also states that basically if you are going with MapReduce mode, you are assessing your HDFS. While if you are using local mode, what you need to do? You need to go like this: Pig -x local. It will now take you as in the local mode. When you say local mode, what basically happens here? It basically now start assessing the file from your local file system. Now it is no more assessing HDFS, but it is directly assessing the data from your local file system. These are the two execution modes. Flattening, this is very simple, right? So basically flatten is the keyword available. If you have this kind of data, you can flatten it up, like everything will come together in the line. So flatten is just an API, right? You can see this, flatten. So basically it is just basically converting this form of data to this form of data. Okay, so this is basically meant by flatten. These are simple questions. Now, can anybody explain me this HBase components? Can anybody explain me these HBase components? Anyone who want to talk about it? HBase components. It's in front of you. Can anybody explain me these components of HBase? You can start by one. This is the last topic. So friends, I want everybody to be attentive here. So HBase keeps the data in a distributed mode, right? So distributed mode where it keeps the data, it defines a region where it keeps the data. So like this will be your first region. This will be like the region where you're keeping, let's say, this column value, row value, right? This is a one region. Not together, just like how you define rack, right? You can define region servers, right? Where you're defining basically different regions together. So this is one region server, this is one region server, right? Now what happens? The master will keep basically will be called as H master, like active master, just like your NameNode works, right? Similarly, HBase uses this H master. What is the zookeeper doing here? Zookeeper is kind of helping you to execute everything. So like in zoo, what happens? In zoo, basically they keep animals, right? They keep animals. They manage multiple different category of animals. Similarly, zookeeper, like big data, also got so many tools available for you now, and basically it helps you to manage everything up. So zookeeper maintains a lot of things for HBase. It kind of helps you to basically see that consistency is maintained. It like in HBase, right? When you work basically in your big data, when you're working in Hadoop, now you have NameNode, Data Node, all those things available. But when you're working with HBase, you don't have all those things, right? So in HBase, you don't have concepts of NameNode, you're keeping data in. So for that, to do this part, like zookeeper play a major role here. So zookeeper is kind of going to act like a coordinator inside your HBase environment. Okay, it will help you to coordinate all the things, because here we don't have name node, data nodes, so and there is no yarn basically here. So you can treat it like basically just like how yarn was handling things there. It is going to help you as a coordinator. It also maintains the directory structures. Can anybody tell me what is Bloom filter? Bloom filter. Anyone know what is Bloom filter in HBase? Can I get this answer? What is Bloom filter? Basically, it helps to improve the overall throughput of your cluster. It helps you to basically improve the performance. Okay. Now, if you want to search any specific row, column, cells, it also helps you to do that. So it makes your system very fast. So that's what you need to just enable this. And if it is enabled, it kind of improves the throughput of your cluster. This is the role of your Bloom filter in HBase. Coming to next question. What is the role of JDBC driver in a Sqoop setup? Simple. Can I get this answer? This is basically Sqoop are important topic in interview. HBase, I would still say that they're not very important these days. People do not ask questions on HBase, but definitely this Sqoop topic is very important. Very good. RDBMS database, I want to connect. Now basically RDBMS can be of any type. It can be MySQL, it can be MySQL, it can also be your Oracle DB, it can be DB2, right? So a JDBC driver will be common and can be used for any of the things. So this will basically help you to create a connection with any sort of RDBMS system. This is a very famous question. What's the difference between --target dir and the difference with warehouse -dir? --target dir with warehouse dir. This is a very famous interview question for Sqoop, because both will basically help you to put the data in some HDFS specific location. Then what's the difference between them? Very good. Not so importing all table and all is fine. That you are giving me a use case. I want basically a proper solution. Means what's the difference between them? Is defined. No, Rajeshwari. What happens in target dir is in target dir, if you're defining target dir, you need to give the directory path name. Okay, so you need to give the directory name where you will be keeping data. So it is possible, let's say in your MySQL or in RDBMS, let's say you have table called as accounts. But now you want to import this table to your HDFS using Sqoop. Now, if you give target dir, you need to tell the name of the HDFS directory where you will be keeping this. So now you can change this name of HDFS from accounts to, let's say, accounts 1. You can do all that. If you are using target dir, you can change the name of this accounts to accounts 1 and HDFS. But if you are using warehouse dir, in that case, whatever the name will be there in your RDBMS, same name will be created in your HDFS. Same name will be created in your HDFS. No change with that. Okay, so that is one of the major difference between them. So warehouse dir will maintain the same name, while with target dir you can keep the same name or different name as well. So you are forced to basically give the name of the HDFS folder where you want to import it. While in warehouse dir, that's a different story. Now, can you tell me what this query is doing here? Read this query and tell me what this query is doing here. Incremental data, no. Importing employee table, but can you see this hyphen where clause? It is filtering, right? It is only filtering all the employees table where your start date is greater than this value. Okay, this is what this is doing. See, this is what this is doing. Now let's say this is a question. In a Sqoop import command, you have mentioned to run 8 parallel MapReduce tasks, but Sqoop is only running 4. What can be the reason? What can be the reason? Very good, Narasimha. Yes, because maybe your number of codes are not allowing you to run 8 parallel MapReduce, right? Maybe you have less number of codes itself. In that case, Sqoop will not be able to take you up to 8 parallel MapReduce tasks, right? It will only use less number of codes. So basically, if your codes are less, in that case, this is bound to happen. Give a Sqoop command to show all the databases in the MySQL server. Can you give a Sqoop command to show all the databases in MySQL server? It should be simple. See this? Sqoop list databases, not show databases, list databases become. Okay? Hyphen connect, give the connections. That's it. It will list all the databases basically. That's it. So this will list all the databases. Now there are few more interview questions. If you notice, so basically these are the links which are being provided. So you will be receiving anyway this recordings and all. You can access that. Now, right now we have just talked about few interview questions, right? What Edureka have done is they have created multiple blocks for you, having lot of questions. They have lot of questions like Pig questions, Hive questions, HBase questions, MapReduce questions. Every type of questions you will find basically from Edureka blocks. My suggestion would be please follow them. Please follow them. It will really help you in getting in clearing your interviews part. And they keep. Can we get this document for reference? I think Digambar, you will be getting it. So I was informed by Edureka team that within a day or two you will be receiving everything on your email ID. So you will be receiving all these things. Please do follow from here. It will help you to get more understanding. Like I hope today's sessions you all might have found it useful in terms of getting a lot of your concepts clear. But if you go with these blocks, you will actually make your understanding more better because there will be more questions. We have limited time, so we can talk only on few parts, but there will be multiple things which are part of this. I haven't worked on real-time project. When asked about project, will POC in the LMS suffice? When you say POC in LMS, you mean the project which is available are in the projects which are given by Edureka, right? They are kind of very real-time basically projects. So definitely they will be helpful for you. But at the same time, my suggestion would be keep on searching on GitHub. You will find multiple other good projects and start following them. Because you have already done the course, now you have good knowledge to basically understand those projects which are available freely on internet. Just try to follow them up and keep working on them. That will give you a better idea. Definitely LMS will be good enough, but I'm pretty sure that you will have hunger to know more, right? There can be no stoppage for learning, right? So for that, my suggestion would be keep on looking on GitHub account. Just go to Google and type Hadoop projects on whatever topic you want to go, and you will see multiple GitHub links. When I say GitHub links, like a lot of people keep uploading the projects on their GitHub pages, so you can download them and try to understand that and basically work on it. With Spark picking up, MapReduce is dying. Yeah, that's currently that's sad truth, but that's a truth. This is actually happening. It's not definitely going to be dead, but definitely Spark have successfully eaten up lot of job market of MapReduce. That is definitely which have happened. What is the future of MapReduce? Definitely MapReduce future is, I cannot call it a bright future because of now better frameworks which is leading in the market like Apache Spark. But at the same time, you cannot say that it is going to be completely gone in future because there are companies who have written already a lot of code in MapReduce and they are not ready to shift towards any other framework because for them it will be a very tricky task to update everything to other framework, and few companies are there who are not worried basically from the performance point of view. They are good with MapReduce itself because they just want their task to be done. They're not worried about basically the performance part. Let me give you an example. Let's say Facebook shows you a friend recommendation, right? Now, do you think that for Facebook the performance matters? No, right? Because they are doing that friend recommendation at the back end and showing you the result, right? So it doesn't matter if they are written in MapReduce also, they will be all good with that, right? They will be all good with that because that will take, even if it is taking time, it is not bothering Facebook, right? But let's say if we talk about Google results. Now, can Google go with the performance? Can Google take the risk of the performance when they do Google search? No, right? There they may not, they definitely would not like to go with the framework like MapReduce. In fact, they would prefer to go with frameworks like Apache Spark to use that. In fact, Google is using Apache Spark to solve a lot of their problems. Unfortunately, I could not get time to do exercise due to mobility. Now I got settled. I want to take up those exercise including project. Very good to know that, Anishpari. Can you suggest any source? Arindam, as I said, just go to Google and type, let's say you are interested in any of the Hadoop projects, type Hadoop projects GitHub. You will see multiple, not one, multiple projects. Just go and type Google right now, you will get multiple projects. What to explain about current projects in interview? Digambar, you need to be honest in this case. Do not try to fake your experience in this part for project especially because it's very easy for interviewer to catch you. So I would suggest that there are good projects basically in Edureka itself. First thing is to solve them. That will give you a very good heads up on that. Now further to that, now as I said, you can just go ahead and keep searching some projects basically on Google as well and try to fix them up, try to solve them up, so that you can now will have a better exposure and project which you can mention in your CV, right? Because definitely when you go for any interview on big data, the first question which pops up, what are the projects what you have done, and based on that they actually push up a lot of questions. Now you just be little honest on that area because I can tell you whoever is expert and if somebody is taking an experience in Hadoop projects, they can easily catch it up. So make sure you practice them up and whatever projects you have done, you can explain it. Please guide us what to learn in brief starting careers as Hadoop developer to Hadoop architect like Hive Spark. So let's say, Narsima, you have already done, let's say, Hadoop course, right? Now, further to down the line, what you can do is you can just basically go with the Hadoop architect course in terms of, let's say, when I say Hadoop architect, right, it's a very wide term. I would say that after Hadoop course, you should target, let's say, Apache Spark course. Apache Spark is one of the, as I said, it's a hot selling cake thing for outside world because this is one which is now grabbing up the whole market. In fact, remember the slide number 3 where I showed you that it's 297%, and that too just happened just in few years, right? So definitely the next step, if you want to look forward, should be Apache Spark. That would be my suggestion. And even like there are very good trainers basically who teach that, so it will not be a problem. If you want to go through my sessions also, you can go through it. I teach Apache Spark, but this is, I can tell you, this is transforming many people's career. So this should be a next step of learning. So that would be a second suggestion. Now after that, if you want to go to any specific domain, for example, you love to do statistics, you love to do kind of play, you love to play with the data and all. In that case, you can go for data science and all courses. Okay. But after Hadoop, my suggestion would be first go with basically Apache Spark and then look forward for any other course so that you can basically get a good idea on these domains, and then basically you can decide where you want to fall in the job market. Definitely will be opening more space in the job market. Consider a big file which has cricket players' name, their highest scores, age, team name. In this case, player names will be key and the highest score, age, and team name will be value. Now I would like to sort the data by value, that is highest score, and partition the data by team. It's just like the sort the data by highest score. Okay, this is a very good question. Who is asking this? Karthikeyan. In fact, okay, I think this will be too big question to read itself, Karthikeyan. My suggestion would be if you can just basically drop this to a Edureka team, they will answer you basically there, or I will answer you there. Okay, but my suggestion would be if this question what you're asking, right? I can immediately by looking at the initial part itself, I can tell you that in this case, use pair RDB of Apache Spark. You will be able to fix it very, very easily in just 3 or 4 lines of code. If you know basically the Apache Spark part of pair RDB, then you can do that. I think if I'm not wrong, Vipul, you are from my Spark batch, right? If you read this question, you can easily fix it. That if you have this kind of problem, you can convert it to pair RDB and fix it. With MapReduce, it is going to be very tricky to fix this problem because you have to do basically lot of stuff to do that, right? So just paste this question to us, and basically we will answer this part here. That would be my suggestion, Karthikeyan. Okay, because in this class itself, it is too much to read itself than to answer. But I can give you an idea about if you know Apache Spark, use pair RDD and fix this problem. It's very easy problem. In fact, in Cricinfo, I don't know if you know Cricinfo, they use Apache Spark. They use Apache Spark and they give you a lot of statistics. There is a tab basically of statistics. So this ESPN Cricinfo app is also using Apache Spark to solve this kind of problems. Okay. Please guide us what to learn in brief starting career as Hadoop. Vineet, if you are there, please make a note of this Karthik question. Okay, please make a note of this Karthik question. Please guide us what to learn starting briefing career as Hadoop developer to Hadoop architect like HiveSpark. I think I just answered this concern. So you need to start with Hadoop, then move forward to Apache Spark side. Once you move to Apache Spark side, you will be all good. Then after that, if you want to still go deep, go with the topics like data science and all, which is definitely going to transform your career. And this is the way you can become a good Hadoop architect along with some other good domain knowledge, because these two together are going currently very strong in the market. Vipul, you just need to, if you are looking for a project type, then you need to just say Hadoop projects. Okay, Hadoop projects GitHub. You will get real-time projects only. For Hadoop developer, what exactly an interviewer want to know or checks in Hadoop from a candidate with around 7-8 experience from a complete different domain? Is it logical sense on conception or architectural detail, or for Hadoop developer, what exactly an interviewer want to know? See, they will definitely first, like I can tell you from my perspective, Priyam, because I basically hire a lot of people in this domain. Now, when I start, even let's say 7-year experience or even a fresher, it doesn't really matter for me. I start with the very basics, very basics. I want to see that how your fundamentals are, because if your fundamentals are not strong, then you will not be able to answer me anyway for anything. Doesn't matter how your experiences. Once your kind of, let's say if you have 7-8 year experience in basically, let's say in the same domain, now definitely in big data you cannot be more than 4-5 years because that's a new technology in the market. But let's say if you have more experience, then maybe I can give you, let's say, some good programming activity to do that. That will be one extra activity in comparison to a fresher. But if you are coming from different domains, I would definitely love to see your fundamentals how strong there. For example, we have gone through all these questions, right? All these questions we have gone through in this classes. These are the similar kind of questions what we go through. There will be nothing different basically from that. Do not think that you are coming from 7-8 years from different domains, so questions will be different. So there will be nothing like that. Questions will be all same what we have gone through. So when you say languages, Narasimha, I did not get it. So I completed the graduation in 2011, then UPSC as I couldn't go through. I'm trying to job in IT sector. Okay. Ravi, what's the question basically here? Okay, you've already asked. No, it's not pair RDD. It's basically called as pair RDD. P-A-I-R. P-A-I-R. Pair RDD. Which NoSQL database is good to learn, MongoDB or Cassandra? Both are equally good, but my suggestion will be for Cassandra. That's one of the basically a good technology which is running in the market right now. Actually, I've framed this question to get better understanding on the main. I got it, Karthik, but basically we will not be able to walk through in the class in this session. I hope you can understand because we have limited time to talk on this part. Right, that's the reason I asked you to basically just post this question to the Edureka team and we will answer it. In fact, I will be looking at your answer or Vineet and all will be looking at your question and basically will be answering that part, right? Because I have like 50 questions right now in front of me. So let's say if I just answer your question, what will happen is those 49 questions will be left out. So that's the reason I avoided that because it will take a good time and other people question will be missed up. So if it's a general kind of questions, that's what I'm answering. If I'm seeing that this question is going to take a very good time to talk about, so in that case, I just suggested you for the same reason if you can push it there. So I hope you can understand, Karthik, this part. Because we have to make sure that because there are more than 50 people in this session and everybody have almost posted 1 or 2 questions. How does certification helps and how to prepare for certification? When you say certification, Naveen, you are asking for Cloudera certifications and all? Java usually will be for MapReduce, basically, Arindam. Okay. Yeah, that will be for MapReduce side. But when it comes to Apache Spark, if you're asking, then it will be on Scala and Python mostly. Can I get your mail ID, Ravi? You need to drop an email to support@edureka.in. Okay. If you just drop an email, anything which is there, everything will be communicated basically to me directly. So that's basically a way to contact any of us, right? Even if you say that I have, let's say, Vineet with me from Edureka right now in the session. Even if you ask his email ID, this is the same email ID, common email ID for everyone. So from here, we just see that for whoever you are redirecting, they will just redirect to the appropriate person. As a fresher, is it good to have basic Hadoop knowledge to jump in with the interviewer or need to know Cassandra and Spark as well? Means definitely if you know Spark, that would be good. Cassandra is a NoSQL DB, right? So basically it's not mandatory, but yeah, if you know it, that would be great. Like Cassandra is also one of the courses in Edureka, and I can tell you it's one of the hot selling cake in Edureka. Okay, so the reason it is hot selling cake is because basically there's a good demand in Cassandra also these days because there are a lot of big companies who are migrating from HBase to Cassandra. And the reason is because Cassandra follows a SQL kind of syntax. Okay, so basically Cloudera certification Naveen carries a good value in comparison to Hortonwork, I would say, because this Cloudera certification basically it's going to kind of a hot cake in the market again. And Cloudera certification, if you go with CCA 175, right, it includes the questions for your Hadoop as well as Apache Spark. They have kind of mixed match both the questions and it keeps a very good value. Let me give you an example for it. Let's say when I hire someone, right, when I get someone's CV and if I see that this person is Cloudera certified, the CCA 175 certified, I 50% I make up my mind that I'm going to hire this person. So you can make out the importance of this certification, right? Because he have already kind of proved himself with that exam that, you know, yeah, it's all good and he already know the Hadoop and Spark stuff. So 50% I already make up mind without interviewing him that I'm going to hire this guy. This itself I hope answers your question. Does Edureka provide some practice material for cracking Cloudera certification like sample questions? Amit, unfortunately, there is no sample set available anywhere, but it depends on your trainer. So basically, if you are, let's say, getting in my classes and all, I generally share some of the Cloudera dumps as well because I am also Cloudera certified. So I've prepared some of the Cloudera questions which my students kind of go through. So I'm pretty sure that even other trainers might be doing the same thing. Because whoever, basically any trainer who will be Cloudera certified would love that if their own students will also clear it up. So since I have that experience, I have prepared to set up questions which I usually pass to my students who are going to me. And I believe that this might be the same. So whichever trainer you are going to, you need to just talk with him and he can help you out. Right? But there is nothing like generic way where they have created this Cloudera dump because You cannot say basically that there is no place where the cloud redundancy is available. So that's one of the hard truth, but yeah, that's a truth. We can't help it. Will we be asked to write MR programs? Yes. Why not, Arindam? Why not? Is there any tutorial available online to learn Spark Pair RDD? Karthikeyan, we can just go to the official documentation. If you want to basically learn, just type in Google Spark official documentation. You will reach to that site. The first link, Spark core. Just read that. You will see the pair RDD part. Okay, you can just read that. Is there any competitor for Hadoop right now? No. Digambar, only competitor is Apache Spark, and Apache Spark have already hit everything up. I created a Facebook group, Edureka Big Data Developers. Can you please copy to all the groups so that we can probably, Nasima, you can drop an email to Edureka with this thing, because this is something which I cannot do in this session. But you can drop an email and they will respond back to you. They can help you with that. Okay. What is the next Spark batch starting again for this, Arindam? You need to talk with Edureka. If I'm not wrong, it's starting on the Saturday itself. Okay. So if you wish to enroll, you feel free to do that. This should be on this Saturday morning, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. weekend back. But you can talk with Edureka support team. Can I get the questions? You will see, get this off for the whole recording, Rajeshwari. Just give 1 or 2 days. You will be getting all the details. Any other question from anyone? Okay. So in that case, we can wrap up. So I hope all of you got some good insight with this session. I hope this session must have proved useful to all of you, and it was worth spending this 3 hours for all of you. So I hope this is going to be useful for you to get some job and getting some good insight how to do that. Definitely you need to Spark. Yes, Karthik. Just search for pair RDD, you will get this stuff. Thank you for your encouraging feedbacks as well. So basically just use all these things, whatever we have taught. And as I said, please follow all the blogs what Edureka have provided. And at any moment, if you require any sort of counseling related to, let's say if you're confused, where should I basically go forward for what next course, you can at any moment call the support team and they will be happy to assist you. There will be a few counseling sessions as well. Most likely in coming weeks also you might find some career counseling sessions as well coming up from Edureka side. So you just keep on checking with Edureka. You may want to enroll there and can ask your career related questions as well there. Okay. So those sessions will be very useful for all of you. So thank you everyone. So I hope our path meet once again. Maybe I would love to see you maybe in some of the batches or wherever we meet. Okay, so thank you everyone for making it interactive and a nice session.
I hope you enjoyed listening to this video. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries and we will reply to them at the earliest. Do look out for more videos in our playlist and subscribe to our Edureka channel to learn more. Happy learning!